How you doing? Hey, guess what? You've made it. You made it to the end of the course, chapter 1, which is helping you define and how to become and win the battle within you. That's just amazing. I mean, think about it. All the steps that you've taken have gotten you here now. Congratulations. I mean, fantastic job. So what I want to do at this particular point is to go ahead and start intertwining some of the things that you've learned, how they're going to go ahead and support where we go next, which is going to be the Waymaker. Because it's great to know what you can do, but how are you going to go ahead and create your way? That's going to be the next thing, okay? So come join me for that. It's going to be excellent. What I want to do, however, right now, is to go ahead and give you a story that shows gratitude, a story that shows self-reflection, a story that shows a person who, through the battle within, has really started to, at this particular juncture in their life, appreciate really what life is about. And isn't that like all of us at this point? So many things are happening. I mean, I don't even have to tell you, between the virus, between people who lost their jobs, and then jobs were eliminated, and so on and so forth. Everybody is just really in a tough situation right now. So let's go ahead and think about becoming a Waymaker, but let this story kind of be your springboard to how you can start looking at how to change your life. So the story goes like this. There was an older woman sitting by the side of a river. She was sitting on a box and she was panning for gold. And as she was panning for the gold, she started to think about what her life was, what was valuable to her life. And quite honestly, she knew that gold was simply a way of buying her clothes and of buying food and things of that nature. But she had been doing this, sitting by the river for quite a long time, that she smiled to herself and she decided that gold, although important to live, did not define her life. You see, what defined her life was how she went ahead and became a better human being each and every day. And she did that by identifying what was important, which was her growth in spirituality, her growth in creating a better value system, her growth in following up on her beliefs. Her growth is identifying what made her a better person and how she could become an individual that people would want to remember. Her interaction, her kindness, all of those things that made up her, that really were the core of her, was what was valuable to her, not the gold. The gold was part of essential living, but it was not her life. So there she was, imagine this, there she was sitting at the side of the river, she's panning for gold, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a bandit comes up. And the bandit says, "Oh, woman, give me your gold." And she says, "Well, I don't have a lot of gold. I don't even have gold. That's why I'm panning for gold." And he goes, Get up, old woman. You're sitting on a box. Flip that box over. Let me make sure. Show me what's underneath that box." She said, "Nothing's underneath the box, but I haven't looked for a while. Maybe I've forgotten." So she goes ahead and she flips the box open. And lo and behold, guess what's there is a big nugget of gold. And so the bandit says, "Well, old woman, you're lucky that I do not strike you at this time, because you had lied to me. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and take this nugget of gold, and I'm going to leave you with your life. I'm going to leave you healthy, and I'm going to go ahead and just leave now." So he takes the gold and he leaves. He's about 5 miles out of town, and he starts to think about the old woman. He said, why did she so willingly just give me the gold? She didn't fight for it. She didn't go ahead and try to, talk me out of it. She just gave me the gold. This wasn't making sense to him. So he turned around. He says, I got to go find out more from this old woman. So he goes back, and there she is again, same position, sitting on this box. That was her chair, panning for gold. And he walks up, and he says, "Old woman, why did you just give me the gold without fight?" And she thought about it, and she said, "Well, it's not important to me. I tried to explain it, so let me explain it to you again. The gold does not identify who I am," she says to him. "What identifies me, is what I choose to do for me. What identifies me is my self-belief, is my spirituality, all the goals I want to attain as a human being. I want to obtain the kindness. I want to be all of these things that I was meant to be. And gold is just an avenue for me to feed my body so I can practice feeding my soul. I could practice becoming the human being that's going to impact others. I can practice so that when the time arrives, I'm ready. So when I have to leave this world, I will be remembered for the individual who was kind, for that individual who could give so much, for that individual who was there for people, who had taken a spiritual journey, who had gone ahead and defined what was right for my life. I'm that individual. And hopefully people will remember me when I'm gone. Bandit shook his head. He says, okay, whatever. And off he goes. And he gets into town and he spends all this gold. And he had a wonderful time. But when the money was gone, he got thinking about the old woman. And he got thinking about what she had said. Because now the money was gone, so he really had nothing. He's got to thinking about what made him. What was his life? What was his legacy? And he realized that people would just think of him as the bandit and he really wouldn't be missed. So he decided to go back and look for the old woman and kind of learn from her, because she did have something that he didn't really know how to get. He knew he couldn't put it in his hands because it was something that was not tangible. So he went back to the river and he comes around the corner, he sees the river, he sees where the old woman was, and she no longer was. She wasn't there. So he paused and he looked around, he looked up on the hill, and there was a grave. And he walked up to the grave, and it said old woman, and this was written on it. The richest woman in town. She knew who she was. She valued life, kind, considerate, and the richest woman in town. The bandit stood back, shook his head, started to cry a little, because at that point he realized he had a fantastic opportunity to learn from someone the key of life, or at least be put on the direction to understand his life. The bandit did not have direction, but now he knew that he had to fight in order to go ahead and achieve his dream. So he had to seek something out. He had to go ahead and start to realize that there were all these obstacles that were in front of him that he didn't even was aware of all of them. But he knew that they were there, and he had now had to fight and get on his own road to achieve his goals. But he had one thing. He saw how she was so committed to what was important to her. And he knew that. And that was his start. That was the beginning of his journey to beat and win the battle within himself. You know, as I said in the beginning of the video, it's really important that we understand that we are now at this juncture, which is so exciting, on how we go forward and take over, okay, the next step on how to be our waymaker. It's important that we know that the individual's steps that we're going to take have to deal with our own self-identification of the decisions we've made in the past and how they go ahead and interact with us now. Were the foundation decisions that we made reflective of the decisions we made today? What is our true identity? How vulnerable are we now? Excuse me. What are the key decisions? Let's think about this for a moment. All the opportunities that lay in front of us really lay in front of you, inside of you. We're just going to go ahead and create that path. I want to thank you very much for your time. I'm glad you made it this far through the course. I look forward to introducing you to the Waymaker. I look forward to walking your journey with you, but more importantly, I'm going to love watching you find the true you, the identity of you. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon. Be excited. Bye.